they will make themselves apparent. They will definitely make themselves apparent. They will make themselves apparent, and you will realize, I have to deal with that. You may have them set up from the day before. I actually still use sticky notes on my mirror. Got to get these 3 things done, or 5 things, whatever it is, but then something else will hit. That's the skill of understanding, is that noise hitting me or is that signal? There is the essence of the great entrepreneur, the great manager, the great leader. Is that signal or is that noise? What is it? That's what you're looking for. You're hiring somebody that can actually distinguish signal and noise, because it could be noise. It could be irrelevant. You have to determine. Only you makes that decision. That's the key right there. This is what I teach entrepreneurs and engineers, and this is the most important thing.
It's that judgment of prioritization, but then the sort of force of execution to get it done.
Can you interpret signal and noise? And can you keep the noise away from the things you got to get done? That's one. The other, which is something that I've learned over the last 5 years, and this, you might find this interesting, but most of my, particularly the nascent startups, and you're involved in the same format I am. You're at Dragon's Den in England, I'm Shark Tank in the US. You put up 500,000 or $1 million into somebody's business, 8 out of 10 is going to fail, maybe 6 out of 10, depend. You just don't know. And I love it when people tell me, oh, I know when I make an investment, it's going to work. They are so full of shit. I'm talking about startups. They have no idea what's going to work. And you won't know for 5 to 7 years, which is why you need diversification in the portfolio. But I would go as far to say now, when I meet venture capital firms and young analysts that work there, and they think they're so damn smart, they've never operated a business, they know nothing. They have no idea what they're doing. They're going to hope that 1 or 2 of their portfolio is going to work out in 7 years and pay for all the other mistakes. But the serendipitous nature of success in entrepreneurship is brutal. It is.
So does that mean, though, that it's, I guess, I was going to say, does that not mean that it's highly luck? If investing's highly luck, entrepreneurship must be.
Well, I said karma, I call it karma, but you need executional skills. But here's another skill that I think we should talk about. When you look at least my experience over decades of making these nascent, these early stage investments, these A-round investments, remarkably, and I've done them in all 11 sectors of the economy, the majority of the successes 5 to 7 years later are companies run by women. Why is that? Why is that? And so they don't know each other. They're in different sectors. They never meet each other. Why is that? And I have come to the conclusion, 2 things. They set goals that they can achieve so that in the early stage of their businesses, they put growth rate targets like 15, 16% versus men at 30% very often. Men hit their targets 65% of the time, at least my portfolio, and women 90+% of the time. And that keeps the team very sticky. They want to be part of so they don't have a lot of attrition when they're small. They don't lose the head of finance and marketing. And that works. But they have another attribute, and this was pointed out to me by one of my female CEOs a few years ago to me. She said, Kevin, you talk too much. You talk too much. You talk 2/3, you listen 1/3. Why don't you try reversing the ratio?
She said that to you?
Yeah. I'm very thankful, actually, because I tried it. And she's right. If you don't talk and you listen, you become far more effective as a manager or an investor, in my case, by getting information that you weren't going to get by talking. And so if you go into a room, I just did this a few minutes ago before I came here. I'm involved in a litigation, and we decided to attempt settlement talks, which is why I was a few minutes late. And, we knew we were going in there to settle. And it's long protruded, it's a long litigation. And I remembered her as we sat at the table like this. There were other people in the room, but the 2, we were across from each other. I just looked at him. I didn't say anything. For a long time. And it gets uncomfortable and no one else is talking. You know, just looking. And maybe after 90 seconds, he blurted out something he shouldn't have said. And I knew exactly what the price was right there. That was the end of it.
You learn that as a podcaster. You learn that there's actually something going on in the silence.
There is something going on in silence, and it's the number that he was going to settle at.
He showed his hand.
So we saved ourselves 2 hours, you know. It's an attribute that many people can't do because they can't stand the social uncomfort of it. I have no problem with it. I could sit here and look at you for 10 minutes. It wouldn't matter to me. And I've actually found it to be a very useful piece of information. It's not just a negotiating, but to listen to employees, listen to investors, listen to financiers, listen to alternative ideas to yours, and become more powerful from it.
You're in the very business of people selling to you and pitching to you. We both sit on a similar show where people come in and pitch to us. You're seeing at times 10 to 12 pitches a day. So you've developed this muscle over the last couple of decades now, almost this instinctive spidey sense of when an entrepreneur will be successful, at least in the context of securing investment. What have you come to learn about the attributes of the ones that are successful? Is there anything one can take from that?
In the moment when that entrepreneur comes out onto the carpet, in the context of Shark Tank or Dragon's Den even, they need the setup shot of the product with the entrepreneur, and they have, in our case, a Steadicam or a jib that comes down and shoots it. So the stage director, Eric is his name, I've worked with him for years, says to the entrepreneurs I've never met, usually it's a team or it's a family or it's whatever, 3 or 4, 2 people, whatever, hold, don't speak, hold, don't mind the camera coming into your face, hold, maybe for 2 minutes. And I'm right there in front of them. I'm 12 feet from them, and I just look at them. Not smiling, not blinking, not frowning, just looking at them. And before they say a single word, I know if they're winners or losers, just like that. And why is that? And I'm right probably 99% of the time. Maybe I get it wrong, 1 out of 100. I doubt it, though.